Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the online conference of MOL Group's petrochemicals business. My name is Csaba Zurák, and I will be the host of this event. Today's professional forum is called the Circular Loop, powered by MOL Group, as our main topic areas are sustainability and the circular economy. We would like to present to you how MOL Group and its experts see the future of polymer products and services. We introduce the efforts MOL Group has taken to make its partnership more convenient and satisfying. The aim is to remain your reliable supplier and improve customer experience. In the second part of the event, we show you the circular solutions we offer to address challenges of the industry and even the feedstock of circular initiatives. The forum will feature 4 presentations and a panel discussion. During the presentations and even the panel discussion, you can raise questions to the experts via the chat interface on the site. Please take this opportunity. On the site, you can also find the detailed schedule of today's event and the introduction of our speakers and guests. Now, let me first introduce Péter Császár, Senior Vice President of MOL Group Chemicals, who would like to welcome you.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Whether you are our existing customer, whether you are one of our future customers, our business partner, or one of my beloved colleagues, I am very happy to welcome you on the Circular Loop online conference powered by MOL Group Chemicals. The European chemical industry is a highly integrated one into many complex international value chains that are sensitive to geopolitical developments, such as the Russian war of aggression against Ukraine. And while it remains to be seen what's going to be the long-term impact of the war on the European industry, the initial effects are quite visible and clear. We are facing rising inflation, disruptions into our value chains, especially energy sources from Russia, but more importantly, and most importantly, a significantly reduced outlook for growth. But this is not the first time we face such challenges. This is not the first time when the economy shows a less attractive face to us. This is not the first time when we need to navigate our businesses through these stormy waters. We are here in the industry for 50 years, and today on this conference we are going to discuss what is our responses to these challenges in the short, in the mid, and in the long term. First, in the short term, we focus on resilience. Resilience of our operation and resilience of our supply to our customers, to you. We will be discussing energy efficiency actions and the list of initiatives that are targeting the safe and reliable operation of our production assets. A combination which is leading to steady and secure supply of our customers. And it's not necessarily very common in the European industry nowadays. Many are scaling back production, cutting back capacities, or even leaving the continent forever. But this is Central Europe, this is our home, and I can reassure you that thanks to our integrated business model, we will be here and we will be a secure supplier of yours. Second, in the mid and long term, we focus on transition. The so-called twin transition outlined by the European Commission in the transition pathway for the European chemical industry. On one hand, we focus on the digital integration, digital transition, integration of digital solutions into the everyday businesses. On the other, we will be discussing the integration of the chemical industry and the waste industry. Both are leading to more circularity, a much better and efficient use of our resources, and energy efficiency. So on behalf of MOL Group community, I really hope you will enjoy today. I wish you a pleasant day, and I hope you will be living with inspiration and excited about our future cooperation. So before going to the next presentation, let me welcome you a video about our key products and applications.
Have you ever thought about how polymers surround us everywhere? Wherever you go, you'll find them. Even if it's hard to notice at first, they protect us every day. Polymers can also ensure that everything works properly, because they're fundamental. And if you look a little closer, you can find them in the most unlikely places. Hiding under the hood or below the surface. And they follow you home at the end of a long day. To be part of your everyday life. To make your bonds a bit stronger, even if they serve only as a kind gesture. Now you remember? So next time, just try to see for yourself how important they are. Because really, they surround you everywhere. But we need to be responsible with them, because separation of plastic waste at home is the key to a greener future. We at MOL Group work to satisfy your needs, and together we can build a circular economy.
Let's begin with a broader overview of the economic environment and the factors that affect our business. Our first speaker will be Ágnes Horváth, Chief Economist of MOL Group. She will give an overview of recent polymer market trends, lessons learned, and the expectations for the future. The stage is yours, Ágnes.
Good morning, everyone. How are you today? I am really excited to be here after 1 year, and what a year we have behind us. After being in a kind of petrochemical heaven in 2021 with record high prices and margins, we quickly went to hell this year and in the second half of last year. At least it feels like hell, right? Let's see why am I saying this. You see the high-density polyethylene spread relative to naphtha since 2013 behind me. And so for roughly a decade, for a 10-year period. And what we see is that we have a clearly repeating cycles. So low price periods are followed by high price periods and vice versa. Indeed, there is a cyclicality of petrochemical prices, and this is nothing new. If you are long enough in the industry, you have to get used to it. The bad news is that after the 21 peak, we see a continuous downward trend, and it seems that we have started a new low price period. The roller coaster ride is going down again. And it matters what kind of roller coaster we are riding. Roller coasters have different types, and they evolved over time. So first, there were wooden ones, where there were no loops. It only went round and round. Then loops were introduced, and you had parts on your journey with your head downwards. Nowadays, you even have roller coasters where after a vertical lift, you can feel like an astronaut because you get practically a free-fall feeling. So more adrenaline is needed, but you also needed more and more courage and bravery to ride these trains. Unfortunately, this roller coaster evolution seems to be visible in our industrial cycles as well. What we see is that the last low price period got much longer and deeper, while the high price period got much higher, but it also got much shorter. So it seems that these good times this time were not long enough to recover fully after the bad times. Can this become the new normal, that we have different cycles and we get onto a more modern roller coaster? We really hope not. The number of shocks that we have seen over the last 3 years have been extreme, and sadly most of them are still with us. And what is more, each and every shock would even alone in itself cause turbulence on the energy and petrochemical markets that would put us on a different roller coaster, not to speak of having them all at once. So it is no surprise that the COVID recovery halted and recessionary fears emerged and then became reality. So since the second half of last year, the economic downturn arrived, both in the EU and the Central European region. We should not be surprised again, because higher than historical energy prices, a record high inflation rate, tightening financial costs, and supply chain disruptions that are still with us, these have hit both the producers and the consumers in the market unfavorably. So it is no surprise that we are seeing a slowing economic activity. Let's see what that meant for the polymer market. So next to me, you see again the by now already very well-known HDPE naphtha spread, which is going down almost continuously from its 2021 peak. However, if we dig deeper, we see very different monomer and polymer spreads. While the polyethylene-ethylene spread, so the polymer spread, follows the HDPE naphtha spread dynamics, the monomer spread, the ethylene naphtha spread, seems to remain much stronger, and it's actually having unusually high price levels compared to history during this period. The low-density polyethylene shows a similar pattern, strong monomer spreads and the even sharper fall in polymer spreads. And although it follows the same pattern, it seems to ride a different roller coaster because the volatility is even higher. Its peak is higher and its fall is deeper than it was in the case of HDPE. And then the polypropylene is again a different story. It's another even more modern roller coaster because prices are reaching the most extreme highs, and if we look at the recent extreme lows, we really feel like it's a different ride. But the pattern here is again similar. Monomer spreads are strong and robust, while the polymer spreads are much weaker and hit really badly. So let's see what can be behind these very different monomer and polymer spread developments. Monomer producers are more exposed to production cost increases, and they indeed have seen a rising production costs. And they probably didn't have much choice than to pass it through to their customers and clients. So what we have seen over the last year, that utility and feedstock prices exploded, especially natural gas and power prices after the Russian invasion to Ukraine. So from last summer, it reached 350 euro per megawatt hours, close to 350 euro per megawatt hours. And although we have seen price correction in natural gas and also power prices, natural gas prices are still around 40 euro per megawatt hours, and this means double of the previous decade's maximum levels. So it's still, energy is still expensive for the industry, so we are not yet back to the previous normal. And it is not just natural gas and power prices that reached really unimaginable heights and got out of their historic range, but also CO2 quota prices exploded last year and got close to 100 euro per ton. And if we think that before the invasion, it was around 50 euro per ton, but compare it to pre-COVID when it was below 20 euro per ton, then you see that again we are talking about doubling or quota prices being 5 times as high as what we are used to. And as a result, so these really high production costs really punish the energy-intensive petrochemical industry. Petrochemical industry is really energy-intensive. And these skyrocketing production costs are really causing a problem for the players. So they have to choose between shutting down temporarily or permanently or raising their prices. And it's a difficult choice for everyone in the industry. Okay, so while monomer producers seem to be able to pass through their production cost increases to polymer producers, their main clients and customers, Polymer producers couldn't follow this trend, or did not follow this trend, because they couldn't. And it is mainly because of the quickly worsening demand environment and the growing import competition, what we see in Europe. Why is the demand environment worsening? And why is it important for the petrochemicals players? Petrochemical demand is really closely co-moving with economic activity. So if GDP growth is strong, then petrochemical demand is also strong. And if the economy is in downturn, then petrochemical demand is also suffering and struggling. So the economic slowdown this time is coming from the demand side, and for this reason, it is weighing on the petrochemical demand as well. Why is it on the demand side and not just the supply disruptions? Because high inflation is eating up real incomes. Customers and consumers need to reduce their purchases, their consumption, and tightening financial conditions make credits, loans expensive, both for the consumers and the producers along the value chain. And third, but not least, we have seen enormous government support to the real economy during the COVID and also during the energy crisis period. And these subsidies are gradually phased out. And this is, of course, putting the real economy players and firms and companies into a difficult position. This time, the weak demand environment is unfortunately joined by growing global oversupply as well. So we have both pressuring factors both on the demand side and on the supply side. We already had pressure on polymer prices, if you remember the pre-COVID times, because of the global capacity additions, when developing countries, especially China, decided to go for more self-sufficiency and to satisfy their own growing demand markets with their own production. We could not feel the pressure here in Europe during COVID and during this energy crisis period because of the exploding logistic costs. It was too expensive to take Chinese products to the European market. But now the shipping costs are practically back to normal. The arbitrage windows are open again, and those products are arriving in Europe, and these price levels still are attracting non-EU imports. In fact, last year, the EU became a net importer in chemical products, not just petrochemicals, but chemical products in general, for the very first time in history, since there is statistical data collection. Because Europe typically is a net exporter, so it is producing products to non-European markets. And this changed, flipped over last year. Hopefully, this is a temporary period. So these high production costs and shrinking export market opportunities are really putting the European players into a difficult position, and it is not clear how they can improve their competitiveness in the short run. So what we see is that over the last 15 years, the market share of the EU in the world chemical market was actually continuously decreasing. So this is not a story of the last few years, but it is going on now for decades. Although the short-term outlook is pretty pessimistic with worsening demand and growing global oversupply, we have to keep in mind that there are longer-term structural shifts ahead as well. There is a new geopolitical order emerging and is shifting end markets, and European players do not seem to be very well prepared for that, and it can cause significant disruptions by squeezing the current EU export markets further and increasing the internal market competition. Sustainability and circular economy requirements also can have and result in a big disruption for the industry. And these have their own sections in our agenda today, and it is not a coincidence. So there will be a huge structural shift in virgin and recycled supply of the market. And this really is, again, something which European production seems to be not very well prepared for yet, at least not until 2030, when all these European green targets would be already effective. And we should also get used to trade barriers and sanctions, which already cause problems in the industry, both on the feedstock side and the product side. Capacity additions will also continue globally, and it's not just the global capacity additions that matter for petrochemical industry, But in Europe, we also think that competition will increase because with the decreasing fossil fuel demand, with the end of internal combustion engines, oil companies, the oil industry will be also forced to put more on the petrochemical basket instead of the fuel basket, and this means that European competition will grow as well. So overcapacity, global overcapacity, and more intense competition, both from non-EU and EU participants, means that European players will need to prepare for and work on their energy efficiency and also on become much more cost conscious than today. The picture is not rosy. It might seem that we are very pessimistic about the short term because of the worsening demand and the growing global oversupply. But there are also positive messages here, and you really should focus on those. First of all, the industry is used to cyclicality, so it's nothing new to have low price periods. We don't like them, of course, but we know that we can survive. Why? Because we have survived in the past. We had to. And what maybe is new this time, that we also have to prepare for the structural shifts ahead. We think that the European industry will look very different in 10 years. But the good news is that this is not just a burden, but a business opportunity as well. So if you can adjust, if you find your niche, you will be winner, even during this really difficult period and this challenging period. And you can be here for decades and see the upcoming high price periods. And I really hope that you also have a good chance to survive and become successful. Building resilience, safety net, and reliable networks of suppliers and customers will be the key, as it has been always. You were working on this in the past as well. Maybe you have to accelerate this time, but it's the same task. And let me finish with the very positive data of roller coasters. According to the International Association of Amusement Parks and Attractions, only 1 in 15.5 million rides ends with a serious injury. So it is possible to stay safe during extremity. So make sure we can meet next year as well. And thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Ágnes, for the comprehensive outlook. Of course, if you have any open questions, please raise them via the online interface. Ágnes stays with us and answers them in the Q&A section. Our next session is a panel discussion about the recent projects and future plans at MOL Group, aiming to keep the satisfaction of our customers at a very high level. Let me welcome in the studio Bence Körmendi, Director of Group Polymers Business Unit, Zsolt Huff, Senior Vice President of Group Downstream Production at MOL, and Levente Puskás, Head of Group Downstream Customer Care. I would like to ask Bence to moderate the discussion.
Thank you, Csaba, for the introduction, and thanks, Zsolt and Levente, for joining us today. First of all, let me welcome our partners and future partners. In the following 20 minutes, we are going to talk about our ambitious goals to improve the satisfaction level of our customers. MOL 2030 Plus strategy initiatives have been raised to further improve our supply reliability, which is clearly our strength according to the results of the customer satisfaction surveys. And also, we would like to step forward in customer care via digitalizing and simplifying our processes. Also, sustainability and reduction of our environmental footprint are key directions in MOL Group strategy. So, Zsolt, we have seen a very VUCA, so volatile, uncertain, complex and ambiguous environment in the last 3 years. Margins, energy prices, product demands are jumping up and down. How does our production deal with it?
You know, Bence, the answer for the VUCA world is also a VUCA. We need a vision to see where we are heading to. we have to understand what's going on outside. We need courage to take the challenges, and obviously we have to be adaptable to adapt the situation and to solve the hardship which are coming from the external world. In the light of these challenges, we created a very high transformational framework in production called ProMotion, Production in Motion, where we are addressing 4 critical areas. One is the business as usual, which then ensure the flawless and reliable operation of our assets. The other one is to build up our future by implementing future assets and strategic projects. On the strategic time horizon, we are focusing on the mindset and behavioral change, which at the end of the day will bring some efficiency improvement, sustainability, and energy efficiency. And last but not least, we are focusing on the competency development, finding out and retain our talents. So the people part is the 4 major elements of this framework.
Thank you. We had been running certain digitization initiatives. Also, our customers are aware of internet sales ordering and e-invoices. So, Levente, how do you imagine more advanced customer care?
That's a very difficult question in this changing environment, but in the past couple of years we put tremendous effort into process ownership and improvement and digitalization. We introduced simple to use solutions for our customers like Partner Portal, where they can see all the digital aspects of their contracts, be it polymer related or be it fleet card related. So that's something that would make easy for them to get access to all the relevant information for them, and we are improving the entire customer journey. We are highly relying on their feedback based on the satisfaction survey and their inputs, and of course we are trying to keep up with the space of the latest digital improvements, but very simply stating that we would like to have a simplified, standardized and digital service for them.
What is your vision of a 21st century customer care?
That's a very difficult question to say a vision right now, but joining this VUCA abbreviation, it's pretty much relying on that. I think it's a convenient, smooth and digital service that we provide to our customers.
Thank you. Zsolt, zooming into the petrochemicals, what are the major asset-related projects that will ensure flawless market supply?
Yeah, I would split this question into 2 parts. One is dealing with our current asset. And here in this part, we are putting a huge focus and the big money on extending our steam crackers life cycle. We're investing more than $500 million to extend the life cycle of the steam crackers in our production area, both in Tiszaújváros and in Bratislava as well. The Tiszaújváros project is almost done after 6 years of very complex project execution, and we are just started the project in Bratislava. So this will ensure a quite high availability of our monomer producers. On the other hand, on the current asset side, we are improving the capacity and polypropylene or polyolefin production in Bratislava plant, where a very important element of this, which will definitely improve our on-time in full capability, is our PP3 unit or polypropylene 3 unit in Bratislava Petrochemicals. This is a very good compliance and capacity improvement combination of that plant. When it comes to the future asset, I think it's needless to say our flagship project is our polyol plant in Tiszaújváros. We're investing almost €1.5 billion for this major project. We just turned into the pre-commissioning commissioning phase. We are expecting the first product droplet somewhere around end of this year, which is an extremely huge challenge. On the other hand, I'm very confident that we will deliver this very complex and very nice project to extend our value chain. Very important but somewhat smaller scale project is our olefin conversion plant, which gives us extra 100 kiloton per annum propylene on-purpose propylene to our value chain. One hand side, it's ensuring the flawless operation of the propylene consumers. On the other hand, gives us flexibility where we will reroute our monomers either to the ethylene or to the propylene side.
Thank you. And a question to you on digitalization. So do you have any truly innovative digital projects in production?
Yeah, it's a very nice and very good question. We as a production always consider or perceived as a traditional and risk-avoiding organization and insisting on the past. On the other hand, we're investing a lot of effort and energy and time to develop our digital capability. This is supported by the fact that we are producing more than 65 billion data points per year in our assets. It's a huge data value, and we have to exploit the benefit coming out. I would mention here three important areas. One is the efficiency, energy efficiency, yield efficiency area, where we are using the big data and the digital twin technologies. We just standardized our real-time energy optimizer solutions all across the sites, which will bring us quite a significant energy saving potential. The other area is the reliability, asset availability. Here we are utilizing the cheap sensors, the wireless field devices, and we would like to turn to the more preventive and predictive in our asset operation, just to avoid unplanned events and also increasing the reliability. And last but not least, which is very important, the visualization, which is a very basic digital approach. However, running 4 or 5 sites, collecting the important data to let us or leadership team to make a good decision. It is very important that we are utilizing these new technologies, dashboards, and all of the visualization digital tools, which then help us to be more effective and more up-to-date and more decisive.
Thank you. Levente, what opportunities do you see in the green transformation in customer care?
Green transformation means for us smoothing and simplifying our processes and making it more digital. We are starting from the very beginning of our relationship with our partners is the offering and contracting part, that we would like to simplify and digitize this part as well. My vision is to have soon digital offering and digital contracting in paperless, even with e-signatures. We are focusing on smoothing the online ordering possibility. We have introduced our online platform for that. There is also a mobile application through which customers and our partners can manage their orders and follow up the statuses and minimize the paper and minimize the resource need handling our everyday operational relationship when it comes to the effective orders of the everyday. And of course, we are trying to make everything one click available for them through our partner portals, be it all the documentation, be it all the relevant information for them, to make it easy and convenient to reach everything that matters for them.
Thank you.
And sorry, Bence, just one more I would like to mention, that I encourage all of our partners to sign up for the e-invoice, for example, because that's one single thing that we can jointly do for our environment. Our e-invoice utilization is around 60% right now, so there is some space for improvement.
Yeah, thank you very much for the hint. And Zsolt, you already talked about how we save energy, and saving energy means that we emit less CO2 at the end. So what opportunities do you see in green transformation and reducing further our environmental footprint?
Yes, in our strategy, we have a quite ambitious plan to reduce the scope 1 and 2 CO2 emission. By 2030, we want to cut back by 20%, which is a huge number. Obviously, the first step is the energy efficiency improvement. To serve this initiative, we created an energy center of competence in the HQ, where we are steering, facilitating, and driving all of the energy initiatives across the different production sites. We collected close to 180 different ideas, small and larger scale projects, which will bring us close to 8 million gigajoule energy savings compared to the 2019 basis, which then ends up more or less 500 kiloton of CO2 saving. Utilizing all of the state-of-the-art technologies in these areas, the digital, the data-driven analysis, and obviously those efficiency improvement projects which are available all across the industry.
Thank you very much. Any other ideas coming to your mind about sustainability?
Yes, when we are talking about sustainability, we always looking at the environment, CO2. But as a matter of fact, the labor market or people are a very, very important factor in the sustainability. In this industrial area, the technical disciplines are not so appealing nowadays, and it's getting more and more challenge or critical to find, to retain all of those technical talents who need to be onboarded to run these very complex and hazardous technologies. To serve these, we are building up a quite comprehensive educational system, getting in touch with the elementary schools, the high schools, and the universities as well. And we are creating such platforms like dual educations or in-house operator academies, which then preserving the knowledge and let us to develop highly skilled operators, mid and frontline leaders as well.
Thank you. Levente?
Joining Zsolt, in the people's perspective, we are putting tremendous effort to keeping talents and improving our workforce, both in customer service and around it, who are improving the processes and trying to and bringing in digital solutions for our customers. Regarding the environment, the planet, I think what I already mentioned, the paperless, that's a direction that we are trying to follow to minimize our footprint and improve our processes and make them paperless, which comes to the profit side as well, because it means less cost and higher efficiency, both on our partner side and on our side as well.
Thank you very much. Could you please just summarize your main messages and key takeaways for our audience?
Yes, from production and just to coping with this external challenge coming from the VUCA environment, we created our transformational framework, which is addressing four very important areas. One is to redefine our business as usual, being flexible and adaptable to the external challenges. Then we are focusing on our current and future asset. First, to ensure the reliability, on the other hand, extend the value chain. We are running the mindset and behavioral change in order to be more sustainable and more effective, being competitive on the market. And last but not least, we are taking care of our people, competency and talent development to ensure the longer term sustainability and prosperity of our production assets.
Thank you.
Yes, thanks, Bence. First of all, I would like to thank to all of our partners taking the effort and time to fulfill our customer satisfaction survey. We will analyze and we will build on those feedbacks, and we will continue developing this customer journey. And I encourage everyone to start using our digital solutions, online ordering possibilities, and sign up for e-invoices. We continue this journey to make our processes and the relationship and the operation with us convenient, smooth and digital for all of our partners and for our benefits as well.
Thank you very much for the discussion.
Thanks for the very interesting summary regarding the major asset-related projects and the developments in customer care. Now I would like to ask Ágnes to join our experts in the studio and answer the questions we have received so far together. Please let me welcome back Ágnes, Zsolt, Bence and Levente in the studio. Thanks for joining us, and let's see the questions. The first one goes to Ágnes. Ágnes, how do you see demand trend in next 10 years for virgin PP versus recycled PP?
Hello everyone again. Demand for recyclates will be much stronger than virgin demand for virgin petrochemicals, because sustainability and circular economy aspects will be a key trend in the European Green Deal. So this means that recyclates will be highly demanded, and especially over time higher quality recyclates as well.
Okay, the next question goes to Zsolt. We have heard in the presentation decreasing operating rates. Does MOL also plan to cut back production?
Actually, we are operating a quite fully integrated value chain in our downstream business. So we are considering crude to polymer value chain as a whole, and we are optimizing 2 refineries and 2 petrochemical plants together. So there is no black and white answer to that, since just the petrochemical side demand decline will not necessarily lead us to decrease the overall production. This is always the result of the very thorough optimization question.
Thank you very much. Bence, what do you think about the next question? What's the MOL strategy to compete with Asian supply within EU?
Asian supplies, it's a trend which is sometimes coming and getting very strong, and sometimes it's disappearing. So basically, we believe that with our technology and with our aforementioned fully integrated value chain, we can be competitive with Asian supplies. Also because Asian supplies are mostly based on also naphtha cracking, which is the same technology what we are using, so there is no such huge difference in our cost competitiveness. And on the other hand, we are local, reliable supplier in Europe, and that is remaining an advantage on the long term.
Okay, at the end of the first round, Levente, how does standardization support the flexibility of supply and service?
I many times meet this question, but I think it goes hand in hand. So in this complex operation that we are running with the wide range of products that we have and the complexity that we are serving the markets and the customer needs, the more simpler the way how customers can order, and how simpler the way, the more simpler the way that we are managing our internal processes, the more standard quality that we can provide, and the more standard processes that we can provide, the simpler and easier and the shorter the time that we can serve our customers. So I think it pretty much goes hand in hand.
Okay. So we have a lot of questions because our partners are being extremely active. Thanks for the participation. Ágnes, what do you expect regarding the price of good quality regranulates compared to virgin materials on long run?
I strongly believe that because of the high demand for recyclates, that recyclates can be actually more expensive than virgin polymers in the next coming few years, or even in the next decade, especially high quality, as I already mentioned in the beginning as well. So it's really important that both regulation is creating demand for high quality recyclates, and also there is a need from the clients as well, so or wish to use as high share of recyclates as possible. And also supply is not there yet, so there will be a huge undersupply, and this will support high quality recyclate prices.
Thank you very much. Let's proceed to the next topic. Zsolt, is there any scheduled production shutdown for 2023?
Yeah, 2023 is not a turnaround heavy year in our petrochemical value chain. We have several smaller shutdowns, cleaning shutdowns all across MPC, MOL Petrochemicals and Slovnaft. Our major shutdown will happen in Slovnaft in this autumn time, when we will improve and increase the capacity of our polypropylene 3 unit over there. This is going to be a 3 weeks shutdown, but it will not cause any disturbance on our supply side.
Okay. The next question goes to Bence. What impact will the expansion of regranulates have on polymer prices?
I think it's a very complex question, because nowadays expansion of regranulates is already visible, and as Ágnes mentioned, it's driven by a lot of regulations. So we believe that the overall polymer consumption will still increase, although regranulates are taking a bigger share continuously in Europe. So definitely we still believe that the virgin granulates are still going to have a solid demand in Europe, and globally it's also increasing continuously.
Okay, Levente, about the documents. Okay, when will be possible to download the documents, invoice, order confirmation from internet sales application at Slovnaft side?
Yeah. Our internet sales application, this is our online ordering platform, is being continuously developed, not just for Petchem products, but for all our product portfolio in all of our countries. We are just about to finish some major developments and we will start afterwards. So I really hope that end of this year we can announce that this document download, so this extra convenience function for our customers will be available. The development will be on. We already have the resources for that, and I hope that end of this year we will be able to serve our customers with this functionality as well.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's turn to the other topic. Ágnes, which price trend do you expect for the remaining part of the year for PP?
I really think that polypropylene has overshooted, so it is already outside of the polymer spreads are outside of the historic ranges. So this very weak demand environment and growing global oversupply has really pressured prices. So I expect a rebound definitely, and to get it back to the historical range at least, in parallel or aligned with the economic recovery that we are expecting for the second half of the year.
Okay, thank you very much. The next question is yours, Zsolt. What's the current situation with regards of MOL crude oil source?
Yes, the petrochemical technology feed supply is starting with the refinery feed supply. And due to the quite volatile external, we put together a massive project portfolio to serve a safe and secure crude oil supply to our refineries, which at the end of the day are providing the feedstock for our petrochemical plants. So this project portfolio turned into the select phase, running according to the schedule. We will spend close to $500 million to ensure the security of supply, and somewhere around 25, early 26, we're going to be run our refineries independently from the Russian crude.
Okay, let's turn to the other questions. Bence, what's MOL's strategy in the event of a worst case scenario? Will you stop polymer production or continue the price competition?
I would refer back what Zsolt answered at the beginning. So we are running a very complex optimization of the full value chain from crude oil to polymers. So definitely it could happen, and it happened also in the past few months, that some of the polymers to produce makes a very little or even negative margin. However, on the other hand, on the full value chain, MOL is still creating value. So definitely we keep on remaining on the market and supplying the market. Basically, due to this full integration of the plants, it's very hard to imagine that we stop fully producing petrochemicals, because then the raw materials for petrochemicals would be there, and we'd have to sell it or do something with that. So that's quite unlikely on one hand, and on the other hand, on the long term, we would like to stay on the market, on the European market, in the Central European market, and supply our partners. So that's very important for us. So we don't plan to stop petrochemicals production.
Okay. During the discussion, we have received a huge number of questions. Thank you very much for your activity. Levente, how long does it take to establish an EDI connection?
It depends on the technology we prefer, but what I can share is that we have a very good experience with the two standard way of connection. So this electronic data interface, we have standard solutions available also through a third-party provider. And if our partners can accept that standard way of connecting, that's a roughly 2 to 3 months exercise. If anything specific is needed, that's a way different delivery time, and of course it's a way different project that we should discuss together, but the standard solutions is roughly 2 to 3 months all in all.
Okay, thank you very much. Ágnes, do you expect polymer prices to return under 1,000 euro per tons?
Definitely, I think that we will get back to normal. So what we have seen a year ago or 1.5 years ago was due mainly to extraordinary circumstances and very special external environment. So now that the economy is cooling down and we are getting back more into our old normal, prices will get back, unfortunately, also to the lower level and below 1,000.
Okay, thank you very much. And the last question in the first Q&A session, it goes to Bence. If recycled material prices become higher than virgin ones, won't it kill recycled material demand?
I think this is a free market. And of course, there are very strong regulatory pressures towards using more recyclates. And I think if this is a free market with supply-demand balancing, this means that the market price of regranulates could reach higher than virgin material when the demand for it is much higher. So I believe in free markets. So this means that, yes, it can stay there for longer. And if for some customers, it doesn't create the value which it costs for them, they will switch back to virgin. And it's going to be a continuous switch here and there. There are some customers of us who were using in the past regranulates to make their raw material costs lower. And now there are more and more customers who are using it in order to make their end products more marketable and more attractive to their customers because it contains recyclates. So there are different drivers on the market. I believe that it can remain longer on a higher level in case there are enough market drivers to keep it there. And the supply remains tight, as I
Okay, we have only 2 minutes. It's a general question to everyone. What's your expectation for the other half of the year in general about MOL? Ágnes?
I think our year start was not that strong, but it was mainly due to the external environment. And although there were solid profit and EBITDA, the external environment wasn't very generous to us. And I really expect some rebound and recovery in the second half of the year, and this should support businesses, actually all of our business segments. So I'm optimistic regarding the second half, but mainly because the very low basis.
What about the gentleman's opinion about this optimistic version?
Yeah, actually, looking at the cyclical nature of this business, I think we are pretty much done now, and this is a way forward, and it should increase somehow. On the other hand, from asset side, we will need to ensure the stable and safe operation of the assets. This will be guaranteed the good second half of the year.
Okay. Levente, Bence?
I mean, my part is a bit independent from the demand and the prices and the environment. I continue focusing on improving our processes, improving the digital and convenient solutions for our customers, that no matter which environment we are at, we should have a very good relationship and a very smooth operation and the more digital solutions with them. So whatever the future will bring price-wise or volume-wise, we will continue serving them with digital and standard processes and solutions.
I'm rather optimistic. If you have seen the just recently published Q1 results of MOL, basically petrochemicals was not really pulling MOL results upwards, unfortunately. I'm more optimistic that in the second half of the year, this demand recovery is going to be visible already on the numbers, and we are able to improve a bit our business results at the end of the day.
Okay, this was the first Q&A session. Thank you for your answers.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
This is how much time we have to answer the questions received. Of course, other questions will not be left unanswered. We will do our best to answer them on the microsite after the event. Now, let's move on the topic area that has a major impact on the behavior of market players. In the next minutes, Anett Csontos-Tóth, Head of EU Regulatory Affairs at MOL, will give you an update on the regulatory environment.
Good morning, everyone. The circular economy has been high on the EU regulatory agenda since 2015, and consequently, dozens of regulations have been proposed to change the current linear production model of the economy to a circular one, so that natural resources are not only extracted, processed into products for them to be discarded after just one single use, but waste should be rather prevented, reused, or eventually recycled into new valuable materials. Today, first I'm going to take you through how the EU regulation has developed on the circular economy in the past 8 years. And then I'm going to go into a bit more details on the latest proposals. So let me start. In 2015, with the introduction of the first Circular Economy Action Plan, the EU has put the focus on waste management and set targets for separate waste streams for them to be separately collected and recycled. They also set targets for maximizing landfills. My colleague Tivadar will talk about this area more and how in Hungary the implementation of these targets is ongoing. Then following this, in the EU plastic strategy, the EU has shifted its focus more to products, and consequently, a number of products, especially single-use plastics, were banned, and also the first recycled content targets were introduced for beverage bottles. Then in 2019, with the introduction of the EU Green Deal and its headline target to make the EU economy the first climate-neutral economy by 2050, the circular economy again increased its importance because of the fact that it can help with reducing our reliance on fossil feedstocks. The Green Deal again put the focus and increased the focus on making products more circular. And consequently, a couple of new legislations were proposed to reinforce this on construction products, consumer products, packaging, and will be soon complemented by a proposal on automotive. I will now talk about more details about these last 4 proposals, and with a view to give you an idea of how the EU regulation wants these products to look like in the not so far future. So let me start with construction products. This regulation sets out harmonized rules, harmonized standards for the marketing of such products in the EU. Based on the proposal of the Commission, it will define so-called essential requirements for construction products for each product category or product family. These essential requirements will include requirements on their performance, which is also the case today, but beyond that, also on minimum amount of recycled content in these products, as well as limit values for their environmental sustainability, including their climate impact, their toxicity, their water use, and their impact on soils, waters, and marine environments. All of these requirements with a view to make construction products and their environmental and climate sustainability the state-of-the-art level worldwide. Beyond these requirements for construction products on their material use, these products will also have to be designed in a way that their durability does not fall below the average durability of products for their respective category. And also they will have to be designed in a way that they are easy to be repaired, refurbished, remanufactured, reused, or recycled. For example, by avoiding mixed, blended, or intricate materials. I will now move to talk about the second part of regulation, which is eco-design. This proposal extends the existing eco-design framework from regulating only the energy efficiency of energy-related products, like vacuum cleaners or washing machines, and they will extend this to cover also the circularity, environmental and carbon footprint of products of a much wider scope, including, for example, textiles, furniture, or cosmetics. Of all of these products, the European Commission will progressively set out requirements for each group of products, including, similarly to construction products, their durability, recyclability, recycled content use, also their environmental and carbon footprint. Beyond this, digital product passports will make it easier to trace substances in products along the value chain and to make it easier to recycle and repair such products. On how and what progress these product groups will be addressed is still not clear, but all of them should have certain requirements, probably by 2030. Let me now move to the next regulation, which is packaging. On packaging, I would like to talk about two intervention areas. Firstly, all packaging will have to be recyclable by 2030. These design for recycling criteria will include parameters that could impact the recyclability of such products. For example, on their material composition, the presence of additives, colors, labels, small parts, or the ease of emptying and dismantling. Each unit of packaging will then get a performance grade from A to E. If a packaging unit will receive a performance grade E, meaning that lower than 70% of this packaging is recyclable, then it will be not considered recyclable and will not be able to be placed on the market in the EU. Also, EPR fees will be modulated based on these performance grades and also based on the amount of recycled content in plastic packaging. So this is just the first step. But then, technically recyclable packaging is often not recycled because the processes needed for its collection, sorting, and recycling can be costly and inefficient, and it's not always guaranteed that they will result in high-quality materials. Therefore, as a second step, each unit of packaging will have to prove by 2035 that it is actually being recycled at scale, and that means that it is being recycled by at least 75% of the EU population. Let me now move to the second intervention area on packaging, which was on recycled content for plastic packaging. Here, the regulation, as we saw in the proposal, the latest proposal of the Commission, they will set recycled content targets for 2030 and for 2040. For the first group of packaging products, so-called contact-sensitive packaging, which means food contact materials, cosmetics, and dangerous goods, these targets will increase from a 10% in 2030 for polyolefins to 50% in 2040. Then, for single-use plastic beverage bottles, these targets would be 30% in 2030 and 65% in 2040. And then actually all other plastic packaging would have to meet a target of 35% in 2030 and 65% in 2040. These are just proposed targets, so it will still depend on the outcome of the negotiations where they will stop. But basically, around the beginning of 2024, we should see the finalized targets, which should be around what I have just presented to you. Finally, let me move to automotive. Here, as I mentioned already, we haven't seen the proposal of the European Commission yet, so the numbers that you can see here on the screen are based on the latest study that the European Commission developed, and that will actually be used to feed into the legislative proposal eventually. So for automotive, what we can kind of expect is that in a medium ambition, so if kind of we see where they are aiming at, by 2030, 15% of all plastics within one car will have to come from post-consumer recycled plastics. Within this 15%, 1/4 of which, so around 4%, would have to come from a closed loop, meaning it would have to come from waste from end-of-life vehicles. By 2035, based on, again, this medium ambition, we could see this target raised to 20% and respectively 5% of closed-loop recyclates in plastics for automotives. So, to conclude, the EU regulatory landscape on the circular economy has evolved a lot, moving from waste management to a product focus, and also moving from just looking at recycled content in products all the way to addressing their environmental and climate sustainability. One thing is for sure, plastics will be needed in the Green Deal's zero-emission world. What will change is rather the requirements that plastics will have to meet in this new world regarding their design, their feedstock, and their environmental impact. The winners of this regulatory push will likely be those plastic products that are durable, designed for recycling, manufactured from high-quality recycled materials, and using sustainable production processes or new technologies. So let's see where it goes, but I think the future is bright and sustainable. With that, I would like to conclude, and I remain open to any questions.
Thank you, Anett. Of course, we are still awaiting questions via the online interface. Now, let us introduce you to MOL's reaction to the challenges Anett has just mentioned. Krisztina Petrényiné Szabó, Head of Downstream Circular Chemicals at MOL, will take a closer look at the steps MOL has taken so far to team up with plastics manufacturers in achieving sustainability and circular economy related targets. She will introduce the sustainable chemical portfolio of MOL to you.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's my pleasure to be here today to discuss one of the most important topics that is driving the transformation of the plastic industry. Today, I would like to talk about three things. First of all, about our new reality that is shaped by the forming regulations, as we could hear from Anett just now. Secondly, I would like to show you how MOL sees itself in this ever-changing environment and how we are putting together the different puzzle pieces of the circular economy. And thirdly, where we are on this transformational journey. So let's start with the new reality. As you could hear from the previous presentation, there is a significant regulatory push towards the use of recyclates in Europe, especially in the packaging sector, which is of strategic importance for MOL. We expect that based on this regulatory push, as well as the end consumers' increasing environmental awareness, the share of recyclates on the European market will increase from 15% to 30% between 2020 and 2030. It means that the whole polymer industry is being transformed. We have to learn how to adapt our operations to a low-carbon era and how to be more flexible. And to be honest, this is not an easy task. However, we at MOL Group, we look at it not as a challenge, but rather as an opportunity. And we are committed to helping our customers to reach their sustainability objectives, and we aim to become a major player of the circular economy in Central Eastern Europe. Now let's see how. Let me show you now how MOL sees itself in this transformation. So as you know well, MOL is an integrated oil and gas company. And this integration has always given us strengths during challenging times. In the new reality, we have to build on this decades-long experience when fitting our operations to a low-carbon world. That's why we aim to build and become an integrated circular chemical producer as well. What does it mean in practice? It means that MOL is committed to investing in and build the whole circular chemicals value chain. And we have a unique position to do this. Not only are we backward integrated in our fossil Petchem operations, but last year we achieved a major milestone by winning the concession for waste management services in Hungary for 35 years. And this will secure feedstock for our recycling operations and enable us to build in post-consumer waste into our products. Building on this, our overall goal is to complement MOL Group's portfolio with recycled content solutions by implementing at least 100,000 tons of circular polymers into our product portfolio by 2030. We are focusing on the core segments of MOL Group, such as both flexible and rigid packaging, building and construction, automotive, and appliances, with polyolefin recycled content solutions, as well as with engineering plastics. Now, let's see where we are and how MOL is achieving this great ambition. In our Shape Tomorrow strategy, we set out to invest $1 billion into new and sustainable businesses. And we have already taken 2 major steps on the recycling and compounding path. In 2019, we have acquired Aurora, a German recycled-based compounder. The value chain of Aurora is built on a unique lean logistic concept, where the pre-sorted post-industrial plastic residue is regrinded and recompounded at one of Aurora's highly automated modern facilities. The end product of Aurora is a high-quality recompound that goes mostly to the automotive segment. With the acquisition of Remat in 2022, we have further widened our circular portfolio with polyolefin recycled products. But this is not the end of the journey. We are planning further organic growth in Hungary, as well as assessing inorganic options in our core region. We believe in continuous innovations and that complementary technologies are needed to address the ever-changing needs of our customers. Therefore, beside mechanical recycling, we are also exploring other technological options as well. The solvent-based recycling is a great way to achieve virgin-like quality from more complex waste streams. And our cooperation, strategic cooperation with APK, allows us to get access to the recent technologies on this field. We are assessing chemical recycling options as well. However, here still major technological and regulatory questions should be clarified before committing to a large-scale investment. Now let's see MOL's product portfolio. For packaging, beside the recycled polyolefin regranulate portfolio of Remat, we have introduced Remolite, the HDP unfilled compound with 30 and 50% recycled content for the blow molding applications. Currently, we have 3 grades available for testing. Further Remolite recipes were also developed, and we are open to serve you with tailor-made compounds as well. Remolan polypropylene compounds with recycled content for injection molding application are also under development. The automotive sector is responsible for significant amount of carbon emissions. Therefore, it's essential that MOL Group adopts its circular economy practices along the automotive tier suppliers. Our Remolan array is a polypropylene compound lined up with recycled content, helps the automotive industry to move towards the circular economy. MOL Group has currently more than 10 remolant grades to face the upcoming demand in highly engineered applications, such as automotive interior and under the hood. We are also working on developing remolant grades for exterior paintable solutions as well. All our remolant grades are certified for GHG emission reduction by demand for our customers from the automotive industry. Our remolant lineup brings neat PP-like quality with increased technical properties combined with sustainable ingredients such as natural fiber, with which we encourage the automotive industry to prioritize sustainability by adopting this kind of materials into their manufacturing process. So, as you can see, we at MOL Group are working towards the circular economy every day. As a conclusion, I would like to reiterate 3 things. We are aware of the new reality, and we are aiming to make the most out of it. We are established and offer expertise along the whole circular plastic value chain, from virgin and waste feedstock to tailor-made, recycled and compounded products. And this will help us to achieve our goals to complement our portfolio with more than 100,000 tons of recycled solutions by 2030. We are already here to offer you holistic solutions. Join us on this journey and be our partner in making chemicals more circular.
Thank you, Krisztina, for the update. Now, let me welcome Tivadar Runtág, Manager of Value Chain and Product Management at MOHU, on stage. He will share the latest success of MOL with you. By finding the source of its sustainable initiatives, MOL could manage another great step towards circular economy. Tivadar, please let us know the details.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I will not waste your time, but I will talk about waste. You know MOL being a production company of high-quality polymers. Krisztina told you about how MOL will enter in the recycling business. But there is a gap between the two. Somebody has to go there, pick up the garbage, transport it, sort it, clean it, prepare for recycling. This is what is called waste management, and this is what MOHU will do. Before telling you the details, I would like you to watch a short video about MOHU MOL Waste Management Company. Let's see it together.
The future of our planet lies in sustainability. One of the most important questions is, what can we do with the increasing quantity of waste? Only a small amount of the waste, which damages the environment and puts the future of our children in danger, is currently recycled. We have to make a change, here and now. Only together can we create the circular economy, where waste becomes a valuable secondary raw material. This way, the plastic waste from PET bottles can be transformed into chairs and tables, and roads can be built from used tires. That's why MOL, one of the region's largest companies, created its own waste management company. MOL has vast experience in this field. Currently, around 1,000 waste disposal facilities are operated around the country, and more than 100,000 tons of waste is being disposed of annually. More than 3 million litres of cooking oil have already been recycled to produce biodiesel fuel. Hence, MOHU, MOL Waste Management Inc., has a trusted, solid professional background in operating the Hungarian waste disposal and management system. We have promised to double the level of recycled waste from 32% to 65% until 2040. For this, though, we need to look at waste as an important resource. If we collect selectively and create an effective waste management system, then waste will not contaminate our environment anymore, but helps our everyday lives as an important and rejuvenated resource. MOHU's goal is to jointly create a more sustainable and clean future for all Hungarian citizens, including those not yet born. MOHU. Recycle together.
So, this is our future. Today, we are far from that. Today, more than 50% of the waste is landfilled in Hungary, and only about 33% is recycled. The European Union set very ambitious targets for all of us. It is to increase the recycling ratio to above 65% and to reduce the landfill to below 10%. That's not easy. The Hungarian government analyzed the situation and decided to change the system. They realized the inefficiencies in the existing system. They decided to reform, centralize, and outsource waste management. They issued a European tender for the municipal solid waste management in Hungary, and they invited several companies open for that. The leadership of MOL analyzed this concept, then took a deep breath, decided to submit an offer, and finally won the tender. I know that all of you are responsible, and you care about your own waste, both as individuals and in your company. But you will probably agree with me that taking responsibility for the waste management in an entire country is a totally different thing. It is a clear statement about a commitment towards circular economy. This is in the heart of MOL's strategy. So let's see what is in the concession. To explain what is in the concession will be probably easier by telling you what is not in. So construction and demolition waste is not in scope. Agriculture waste, liquids are not in scope. The hazardous and the industrial production scrap are not in scope. But the rest, all the metals, glass, paper, textile, bio, mixed waste, and of course plastics, altogether about 5 million tons waste are in scope for the concession. And this is 5 million tons a year for 35 years. 35 years. Wow. This is what I call a strategic decision. And now if we look at what are the commitments of MOL as a concessor during this period. We have to optimize the collection, transport, and treatment of waste. We have to introduce the extended producer responsibility and the deposit refund systems. We have to introduce new waste streams, separate collection, such as bio, kitchen waste, cooking oil, etc. So things that were not selectively collected in the past. We have to build a new waste to energy capacity in Hungary. We have to we have to establish a new IT system for waste tracking. We have to do a lot about improving consumers' attitude towards sustainability. And for all this, we committed to invest about 500 million euros. 500 million euros are in the contract, but we know already now that only during the first 10 years, we will spend more than double that. So more than 1 billion euro will be spent during the first 10 years on waste management. What this amount will be spent on? A big chunk of it will go to the infrastructure to improve the capacities for waste sorting. New containers will be bought to the public. There will be new vehicles, new logistic systems. We will spend a lot of money on the deposit refund system. There will be more than 5,000 reverse vending machines bought and installed in the country. Reverse vending machines, these are the little automats or big automats where people throw in their PET bottles or alu cans and get money back. And there will be a visible amount of money spent on the information technology system. We have a unique opportunity because of our nationwide responsibility to build an end-to-end tracking and monitoring digitalized system for waste tracking that will be unique in Europe. The question still may arise. What is in it for MOL? Why on earth an oil company would be interested to invest in waste? For us, the answer is obvious. We believe that beyond the good citizenship flag that MOL can win, there is a very clear business rationale behind. We consider the collected garbage as a very useful feedstock for our petrochemical business, for fuel, biofuel production, for energy, even for our special bitumen production. But beyond that, for the value streams where MOL is not a traditional player, such as glass, metal, or paper, we see new business opportunities. It will open new doors for new partnerships, new long-term supply contracts, cooperation, all with the industry, basically with you. And probably that much is enough about the concession itself in general. Now I would like to spend a few minutes talking about the plastic, which is the main concern of this community. What we plan to do with the plastic waste collected. Here, the plastic is somehow a problem child, something that is demonized by the media, by politicians recently. But we know that plastics are actually not bad. Plastics are very useful, practical products for many applications, especially in packaging. And for these applications, we want to make sure that plastic is handled properly as a waste. The plastic today in Hungary very often ends up in the so-called black bin, so in the mixed waste. And the mixed waste is extremely difficult to process, to clean, and to make use of it later on. Now, only about 30% of the plastic packaging waste is collected and recycled in Hungary. This is much less than the other material streams. It is less than our potential. And of course, it is way below the 65% target set by the European Union. I see two main reasons for this underperformance. One is the very low ratio of the selective collection. And the second is our inefficient recycling capacity. So let's talk about the first one first. When we look at the overall picture, we see that beyond this 70%, which is today in the black bin, there is only about 15% from the public waste, which is collected separately. How I want to increase from this 15% to 40% during the next 8 years or 7 years, which is ahead of us until 2030. First of all, PET bottles will go through this reverse vending machines, the automats I mentioned before. Secondly, we will increase the number of households where selective waste collection is available. Today, only about 40% of the households have this possibility. In blocks of flats, for instance, unfortunately, there is no clever way to install different waste bins and to separately the plastic waste. We will have to find a good solution for that also. Then we will standardize the system across the nation. It is a big step forward. If I tell you that today there are 27 waste management companies, regional waste management companies in the country, what it means is that there are 27 different rules what to throw where. 27 different colors of the waste bins or baskets that you have to use. There are 27 logistics centers. So practically there are 27 sub-optimums. Now, what we will do, we will standardize it all, and with the integration of these systems, there will be a possibility to reach much bigger mass and much better understanding of the consumers, how to behave and how to select actually their waste. And last but not least, we will invest in opening new waste yards that will be much closer to the consumers if they want to use that facility for throwing the garbage away. Now let's talk about the second problem, which was our inefficiency to create value in the recycling process as of today. If we want to add more value to make it profitable, we have to start with the selective collection. This is what I was talking about a minute ago. When we are able to select properly, to collect selectively the waste, then it goes to the sorting houses, the sorting facilities. A big chunk of our investments will go into the sorting houses. To me, actually, sorting is somehow the heart or the engine of waste management. Because by sorting the waste properly, you can create very clean, high purity materials. And if we are able to do that in accordance with the international standards, specifications, then it will be a valuable feedstock for recycling, for the recyclers. We want to recycle in material as much as possible. And our aim is to make it actually circular. So not only that from the collected PET bottles you produce egg trays or boxes or pallets, but they should go back into the production and become again PET bottles or baskets or whatever it is. So real circularity. It is also worth to mention that in MOL we are analyzing the possibilities into entering the chemical recycling, which is a very fast developing industry as we speak. There are a few projects that we started to work already on, and I just want to list them without going into much details. In Hungary at the moment, there is no PET bottle recycling facility. What happens with the collected PET bottles is that either they produce and downgrade them to boxes and egg trays, etc., or these bottles are exported, recycled somewhere abroad, and then imported back. The granules are imported back to Hungary by the soft drinks drink companies. Now we are working on a project to build our own rPET, recycled PET factory. Another project to mention is related to end-of-life vehicles. These end-of-life vehicles and also the electric equipment are usually handled like this, that the high-value metal content is taken out, it goes on its way, and the remaining plastic is treated as residual waste, which ends up quite often in incinerators or in landfill, or unfortunately, very often, people just drop them on the fields or in the forest. We realized that the car and electric equipment manufacturer OEMs have an increasing interest to buy back this recycled residual waste, if it is processed properly, and build into their new products. So now we are supporting a system to from end to end, collect, reuse, recycle all these parts of equipment. And there's a lot more to do. And there's a lot more that we are going to do. We are working on, we are analyzing actually the possibilities to handle properly the capsules, napkins, balloons, fishing nets, cigarette filters. So a number of things that at the moment are not in the circularity, that is not possible to recycle. We are working on it. We cannot make it alone. We seek for partnerships. We seek partners with whom we can cooperate, team up, set up joint ventures, and so on and so forth. How we think about this partnership, it leads me to my very last slide, which is about the circle. Let's start with the eco-design, for instance. Eco-design is a joint effort in my belief. Why is that? Because whenever your experts are looking at the design of your products, it is not enough to consider the molecules and to say this can be blended with that. No. It is necessary to think also about how the waste will be collected, how it will be treated, handled, cleaned, etc., etc., etc. So the whole system behind everything that we call the waste management. And this is our profession. And that's why I say that eco-design is a joint effort. If we do that properly, then we can guarantee the right quality and quantity of recycled, blended compounds to your products, to your specific applications. And also we can work together to improve public attitude towards sustainability. So together, we can actually step by step close the circle. And this is what I believe in. Ladies and gentlemen, our journey has just begun. The concession will start 1st of July this year. I invite you to be our partners in this mission. Thank you.
Thanks, Tivadar, for your informative presentation. Please join to Anett and Krisztina in the studio and answer together the questions we have received during the 3 presentations. This is the second Q&A session. Welcome back in the studio, Anett, Krisztina, and Tivadar. Let's move on the incoming question. The first is yours, Anett. Will there be a mandatory percentage of PCR in plastic products? If yes, when the details are expectable?
Thank you for the question. Indeed, so in all of the policy areas that I mentioned in my presentation, so packaging, construction products, and automotive, all of them will actually contain, in a certain way, mandatory PCR recycled content targets for plastics. In terms of the timing, that's a bit more difficult to tell, as what I was talking to you about were all proposals of the European Commission. So they are all still under discussion by the EU institutions, the European Parliament and the Council. But I would say that by 2024, we will be clear on all of the targets. So we will know how much they will be, and then in 2030, most of them will also apply.
Okay, thank you very much. Krisztina, the next question is about the future. How do you see the future of mechanical, solvent-based, and chemical recycling?
So we believe that all 3 technologies will have a role in the future. First of all, the mechanical recycling is a commercially available technology, and in the waste hierarchy this has the preference, so anything which could be mechanically recycled has to be mechanically recycled. On the other hand, of course, this technology has also some disadvantages or challenges, let me put it this way, such as, for example, in flexible packaging or in food packaging, mechanical recycling is still not the best option to reach virgin-like quality. And that's why other technologies, such as the solvent-based recycling or the chemical recycling, will have a role in the future.
Okay, thank you very much. Tivadar, your next question is about the future too. Our colleagues and partners are extremely active, so we have a lot of questions. So your question, do you plan to expand the waste management activity in other countries?
I would not exclude the possibility for MOHU to provide services in other countries, but if it happens, it will not be tomorrow. It will be more in years than in months. The concession is only about Hungary, and now we focus very much on performing this task. However, we are already now actively seeking for partners who will be our buyers, actually, during the first period already. So recyclers from abroad, waste companies from abroad who are interested to buy pre-treated waste from us should contact, and we will be more than happy to serve them.
Okay. Anett, in your previous answer you mentioned the EU. We have another question regarding EU. When does the EU provide any guidance for bio-based polymers? What do you think?
Okay, so good question. What I've been talking about was always about recycled content, right? Because what we've seen in all of these proposals is that the European Commission has really put the focus on recycled plastics rather than bio-based plastics. So actually for now, in these proposals on packaging, construction, and automotive, we haven't seen any mandate to have actually a bio-based content in plastics. What the EU did, though, is that they published a policy framework for bio-based, biodegradable, and compostable plastics. And here they outline that, of course, they should maybe have they should have a role in the future because they have an opportunity to replace the fossil feedstock in plastics. However, due to their other sustainability challenges like their land use or other related feedstock issues, they are a bit cautious. So for now, they haven't published any targets for them because they want to just take it slow and put the rules down first before putting any targets.
I would like to address the next question to Krisztina. What's the biggest challenge in the recycling business and how MOL is coping with it?
That's a very good and very complex question. So let me highlight three biggest challenges. First of all, the feedstock availability in quantity and quality to enable the growth of recycled content. And in this perspective, how MOL is coping with it, we just heard from Tivadar's presentation that we are going to be in a unique position in Central Europe, in Hungary, because we will be able to basically upgrade the whole system, starting from selective collection, sorting, recycling, to enable enough quantity and the proper quality of waste available for recycling. Beside the feedstock, Anett talked about the uncertainty about regulation. So there are a lot of challenges around chemical recycling. There are a lot of questions around when and what will be the percentages that as for recycled content for packaging, and also what obligations will the automotive, building and construction industry have. So there are a lot of uncertainties in terms of the legislative environment, which of course makes investment decisions very, very difficult. And the third one is the technology, how the technologies will evolve. Will the mechanical recycling and the sorting and washing technologies will be able to provide food contact quality? Which technologies within the chemical recycling technologies will be the winning ones? So there are a lot of questions which really gives us challenges, but we are addressing all of them as we heard from the presentations.
Thank you very much. By the way, hundreds of followers have joined us for more than 10 countries. Thanks for our partners' active participation. So we have a lot of questions, Tivadar. Your next is about the waste management too. What makes you believe that you can make it better than traditional specialized waste management companies?
Well, thank you for the challenge. Well, I would not underestimate actually the competence of our colleagues. Many of them joined from top-class waste and recycling organizations. So they bring a lot of experience into our company. The second point is that with this concession, we have a really unique opportunity to optimize the operations on a national level. So it will be a totally different landscape when we walk away from the suboptimums and we try to leverage the synergies in a country. Obviously, this will not happen from one day to another, so it is not an overnight exercise, but MOL does have the capacity and the competence to handle such complex issues. So I'm confident about it. But maybe the most important point here is that we are not alone in this game. We will work together with a number of partners, a number of professional companies who are already active in this field. They will be our subcontractors during the period. We will build on their experience, and we want them obviously to grow and flourish, because we will need all of them to increase the recycling ratio and to decrease the landfill, as we said. We need all of them who are transparent and efficient. we'll make it together.
Okay, thank you very much. I extremely curious what our experts have in mind about this topic, Anett, plastic tax. I have two questions at the same time. What's the status of introduction of plastic tax in the EU, and who has to pay the plastic tax? Have you got any idea about this?
I do, and it's a tricky question, because when we talk about the EU plastic tax, there has been a lot of news in the media about it. It is actually not a tax, it's rather a levy, because it's something that European member states have to pay from their budget, as part of their budget that they pay to the European Union. And what it is about is that they have to pay this so-called tax based on the amount of packaging waste in their territory that does not get recycled. So it's actually a tax or a type of contribution based on the amount of waste that they do not recycle. So it's not actually a tax that producers would have to pay. However, some member states have decided to pass on this levy to actually maybe some producers to be sure that they can then pay it as part of their budget contributions. And this was the case, for example, in Italy, Spain, and actually also in the UK, although they are not part of the EU anymore. So far, these are only the 3 countries where we saw that the member state actually passed on the levy to some producers, but actually in our region, we do not see that this would be the case, and actually it is member state governments who pay this levy.
Thank you very much. Let's turn to another question. Krisztina, where is MOL in chemical recycling?
So as mentioned, we are aiming to introduce the mechanical, solvent-based, and also the chemical recycling, because we believe that for certain applications, and in order to avoid landfilling and incineration, chemical recycling will be a solution. So we are assessing the investment into chemical recycling, and hope we will come back with some news in the near future.
Okay. Tivadar, your next question is, how would MOL collect the plastic waste in Hungary?
Well, we'll have to make it very efficiently, first of all. But the longer answer is that, as I mentioned, we'll work with a number of partners, subcontractors, who have already capacities, who have already infrastructure. And during the first 10 years, we will make a massive investment to expand together with them, and also to build MOL's infrastructure, to make sure that there is enough waste bin where the population can place selectively their waste, where they can put the waste selectively. And secondly, there will be a lot of investment in the vehicles, the collection vehicles. So we, as MOL and MOHU, will make our own park, which will be complementary to the already existing and during the years modernized parks of our partners. That's the concept, that's the idea, and we'll just make it.
Okay, thank you. The next question is goes to Krisztina again. Can you develop a PCR for PP within a year for the market?
So we have already compounds with recycled content and virgin content. So we have already in our portfolio grades for that, and we are open to customize the developments to our customer needs with different recycled content. So happy and open to collaborate on this with our partners.
Okay. Anett, which type of recyclates will count in the recycling targets of EU? Only PCR or PIR as well?
So based on what we know now from the proposals, the European Commission is really pushing for only PCR to be accepted. It's because the PCR is, as you know, post-consumer recyclates.
Yes.
That is what is made of, waste that Tivadar and his colleagues have to deal with, and this is why the EU wants to incentivize to take that waste that is created and put it back into products. So they are very much focusing on PCR, although there is an argument also to use post-industrial waste, and some associations have raised this issue to also accept that, but that's not yet confirmed, and PCR is the one that is for sure going to be incentivized.
Okay, thank you very much. Tivadar, we have another question. I suppose it's about the waste management. Who shall we contact if we want to negotiate about the cooperation?
Contact us. But the simple answer is that there is a website of MOHU, www.mohu, where all our potential partners and also the public can contact us. A little bit more longer answer, yes, is that our sales team is actively seeking for partners, and they will try to reach out all across Europe to find whoever is interested to collaborate with us. I believe that who wants to will find us, and I'm really looking forward to the cooperation.
Okay, thanks for your answer. Krisztina, do you plan recycled PP for use with products for food packaging?
So as I mentioned, with mechanical recycling, food packaging is a challenge, especially due to the contamination of the waste. So for food packaging at present, what we see is that it's mainly the chemical recycling which is the solution. However, we also see that there are certainly development in sorting, washing, and even mechanical recycling technologies which might enable on mid-term even high quality products coming from mechanical recycling for food packaging. So on short term, we expect chemical recycling, but on mid-term, we believe that the technologies will evolve across the value chain, which will enable, even through mechanical recycling, food packaging grades.
Okay, Krisztina, and this is your last question because as I see our time is up. What possibilities do you see in remolant types? Do you expect growth compared to premolant in the near future?
So the question is about whether we expect that a recycled content polypropylene will have brighter future than a virgin base, and my clear answer is yes. So because of the legislative drive, because of the increasing environmental awareness of the end consumers, we believe that those products which are recycled or which has recycled content will have higher growth than simply the virgin grades.
Anett, do you want to add something about this?
Well, I think it's a response indeed to the regulatory drivers. So as we saw in all segments, they are pushing for recycled content. So happy that you are already providing this solution, and I think we will have to do a lot more of it.
And it's not only about the legislation, but it's about our own future, about our children, grandchildren, etc. So.
Okay, Anett, your last question: when can we expect clear numbers on construction product regulation?
Always these questions about the timing. I'll try to respond as best as I can. So actually the construction products regulation is a bit different from, for example, the packaging one, as it is being negotiated now, and it looks like by the end of this year they could have an agreement between, as I said, the member states and the European Parliament. But in this regulation itself, they don't have the numbers for the recycled content target yet. But they will have it, as I mentioned, I think in my presentation, these targets will appear in the harmonized technical standards for each construction construction product family. And that will only come after the regulation is concluded. So I would say, before 2030, we will know the numbers, but it will be another step in the decision making first.
Anett, Krisztina, Tivadar, thanks for your professional answers. And this is how much time we had to answer the questions received. Of course, other questions will not be left unanswered. We will do our best to answer them on the microsite after the event. Now our circular loop powered by MOL Group Professional Forum has come to end. We are glad that you have joined and listened to our experts. Also, many thanks for your valuable questions. Before leaving the online event, please give us a quick feedback by using the feedback menu. We highly appreciate your opinion. If you want to rewatch the presentations and discussions later for a whole week, you will find them on this site and then on MOL Group's LinkedIn and YouTube channels. I wish you a great day and successful work.